Okay, so I'm going to start recording it so that if you want to go back and watch it, or anybody that's absent can watch it. And then I also put on Schoology a couple of digital options if you wanted to follow along with this. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's see what we got. So this is what I would like us. You made me laugh? No.
There's only one left.
Okay, so aujourd'hui, je veux parler des verbes reciprocal verbs. So this is your title. It will be on the screen again, reciprocal verbs. So if I'm going kind of a little fast because of time on the Zoom and you're like, hang on, I don't even have a pencil or paper to take notes, then there is, let me show you. On Schoology, I did just put a couple of things. Don't do that, Lucas. A couple of things. So first one is I put a Google slide. So you could open this up and have this alongside. That's gonna look like this. So you can type in as you're listening to me. Because you need to go back and play. Mm. And then the other one is this PDF, which you wouldn't be able to type into, but you could open up on Kami if you preferred. Either way, you can always come back to these at any point. Okay. We still got people coming in. See how it goes. All right. So, grammaire, les verbes réciproques. So this is what reciprocal verbs are. Here's an example. So last week when we started doing our stories of amour et amitié, you actually already started seeing these like phrases. And a lot of you already started asking me like, what is this doing right there? Go play together, please. Thank you. Bye. Okay. A lot of you already started seeing this right there. Ils se sont énervés and asking what does this represent. So we've started seeing these before. And today I just want us to dive a little bit into what it's called, which is a reciprocal verb, and how you can use it so that you can write it and speak it yourself and know what the purpose of it is. So I'm just going to read off of this little blurb on the side on the right here. Déjà vu. Reciprocal verbs and reflexive verbs are not the same. So this looks like the reflexive verb that we've already seen, right? Way back in French 2 when we did daily routine, we've looked at it in a few different places. So it looks similar to that, but the meaning and the use of it is slightly different. So reflexive verbs are used when the same person performs and receives the action of the verb, right? So we can use a reflexive verb for I brush my teeth. Je me brosse les dents, right? I brush my hair or I wash my hair. Je me lave les cheveux. We know that. But a reciprocal verb are used when two people reciprocate an action. So this is different, and this is why we're going to use this a lot, and it's kind of hard to avoid it in this unit of love and friendship because we are often talking about two people reciprocating an action, so to each other. So that's what we're going to look at today. Reciprocating an action is instead of one person to themselves, it's two people to each other. In the passé composé, this is an example right here on the screen of the passé composé. Both reflexives and reciprocals use être. So we've seen that before. So that's the same. And we're not going to worry too much about this last part right now. Okay. So let's have a look at some examples and then how we use it. Let me go back to the screen. Okay, there we go. Okay. So if you are starting to take notes or you have this here, in French, we use the pronouns nous, vous, or se to make a verb reciprocal. Nous, vous, or ce. Not, we don't use je or tu because it's only one person. So nous is we, there's two people involved. Vous is two people, you or more. And then the final se right here could be used for il ou elle plural. And they mean each other. That is probably the best explanation you're going to get when you see it. Clicking on the wrong thing. There we go. That this is the way in English that we say each other. In French, we use the reciprocal. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a second. If you're taking notes, you can copy it. If you are not taking handwritten notes, I just want you to just follow along with us, just read us and just kind of see how those are used right there. And you can also go ahead and turn your cameras off now if you want. I don't mind. Okay, sorry if you are hanging around, and sorry if you are still writing. I know it's just kind of a weird situation doing it in this way. But believe me, it's less complicated than any of those YouTube videos that I was looking for to show you to teach you this point. Okay, so for this next point, I want us to move on just how we use reciprocal verbs and how you can make them yourself. And then we'll be done with the notes and we'll just do some practice, and that's where I'm going to leave you. So not a huge amount today. Okay, so in this first box up here, and I'm going to type straight in here, and you will have this in this, that you already have access to these Google Slides on Schoology. Okay, so if you, like I said, if I'm going too fast or whatever, you already have access to this. And as I'm typing it in, the answers will appear on the copy that you have. So the answers will be on there. And I'm recording this. So, okay, so let's say we want to keep the reciprocal verb in the present tense. So we're going to take a reciprocal verb here, se dispute. Dispute is to argue. Now, I could just argue with anybody that I want, me arguing to you. But if I add this, then it's not just me arguing one way, it's we are arguing with each other. Okay, or two people are arguing with each other. So we cannot use je or tu or il, elle, or on this side because this is just one person. So this is why we're only focused on this side of the table. So that means our verb réciproque are actually a little simpler than our reflexive verbs, which used to be this whole table. Now we're just focused on this half of the table. And I want to keep it in the present tense. So instead of argued with each other, I want us to argue. We are currently arguing with each other. So this is what it will look like. New, new. Because remember, the reflexive pronoun is still new, new, new. And then dispute, it's an ER verb in the present tense. It's just going to be nous disputons. Okay, so nous disputons. This means in English, we are arguing with each other, right? That's the meaning of it. You don't have to write the meaning if you don't want to. I just want to make sure that it's clear since we're on this Zoom call. Nous disputons. We are arguing with each other. Okay, let's move on to vous. Vous is you and you two of you together. You guys are arguing with each other. Or as a question, are you guys arguing with each other? So we need the subject, the reflexive pronoun next. Vous, dispute, and then our ER verb ending. Vous disputez. Okay. So you can see actually, I didn't really ever think about this, but in English, we need all of these words to say what it only takes the French 3 words, vous disputez. Because we have the with each other, but in French, all we need is this little tiny reflexive pronoun to indicate the with each other. So it's a little simpler. All right, and then our next reflexive pronoun for il is se. Dispute. Il se dispute. Again, that's our reflexive pronoun there. And it means they are arguing, or they argue with each other, right? Ils se disputent. They are arguing with each other. Okay, so that's our present tense, which that's fine. You can use the present tense as we're going through. It might be helpful. We've got the verb argue, but maybe you want to say they're talking to each other. They are falling in love with each other. We are falling in love with each other. And it could be a positive reciprocal verb. And then the last thing we're going to look at is what about if you wanted to put it into the past tense? And so I picked a different reciprocal verb. I was just thinking I picked one which has accents on it. Not the greatest. All right, so this is going to change to new. But remember, with the past tense, it's always going to use the verb être in the passé composé. So not we are telephoning each other, but in the past, we telephoned each other. So nous sommes. Let's change that. Telephoning. And that's going to become our past participle. So we phoned each other, right? We phoned each other, past tense. Okay, let's just keep going through the table so you know. The idea is that you have this here and you have it in your notes and you have it as a point of reference so that when you come to write your own things, which that's the next step really, over the next few days, you will be able to use that. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Okay, vous, êtes, Vous êtes téléphoné. And then the last one, ils se sont téléphonés. I don't really say telephoned each other. I don't know why I wrote that. Phoned each other. You can say telephoned each other, but nobody really says that. Okay, so I just finished off the last part. So you can start to see the pattern here in the difference in French and in English and how we do that in French. Okay, so I just had a quick look at the time at the clock. That is bringing us to the end of the lesson. So I'm gonna in a minute end the recording. We're gonna close that down. If you need to go back and copy any of that down, you can. Tomorrow's lesson is actually like a practice questions and stuff on this, which we do not have time for, which is fine. So tomorrow's lesson, if we're here in person or even if we're virtual, I'm going to start with the practice and we'll put into practice what we've been learning today. So if any of this is like still confusing, that's okay. I get it. This is not ideal. We can go and have a look at it when we're in our next lesson. Okay. So I will be around all afternoon if you want to email me if there's anything that's that you're unsure on. But thank you for being on the Zoom class for aujourd'hui. And I'll say au revoir now.